right, once again, the Trump team is on the attack. They are attacking Robert F. Kennedy Jr. once again. So I'm going to play a little bit of this here. Let's take a look. All right, this is from DonaldJTrump.com in the news section, and you will find this here. Just this is what we have today. Crazy stuff. All right. This is posted on May 2nd. Radical left Democrat RFK Jr. So you watch the video. I'm going to play a little bit of that video. But I just want to read some of the things that are being said here about RFK Jr. RFK Jr. is just another far left Democrat. And we get some bullet points here. While Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is now running under the guise of being an independent, he is just another radical far left Democrat. Kennedy knows he will take more votes from a Republican candidate than I do from President Biden. That's obviously Trump saying that. Kennedy admitted he voted for Biden, and they have these links here too. So they have each article that's pretty interesting. This one from Kennedy 24. The take more votes leads back to the Blaze at Twitter, the Blaze. Kennedy admitted he voted for Biden in 2020 election. Kennedy has described himself as an old Kennedy Democrat. Kennedy has donated to Democrats since 1985 and even donated to Obama's campaign for president in 2007. Kennedy repeatedly endorsed Hillary Clinton in 2000 for New York Senate, 2007 for president, and 2016 for president. Kennedy is a self-proclaimed huge admirer of Senator Bernie Sanders. Kennedy called notorious anti-Semite Louis Farrakhan a truly great partner. In 2005, Kennedy implied that Republicans are stupid, calling them misinformed because they believe in God and don't read the New York Times. RFK Jr. is an energy radical who wants to end fossil fuels. Every time you see this in red, by the way, that's what links to something. So pretty interesting stuff. Kennedy is fiercely anti-drilling, anti-fracking, and anti-fossil fuels. In 2012, Kennedy called the ability for towns to eliminate fracking a victory for democracy and environment. In 2014, Kennedy lauded New York Governor Andrew Cuomo for banning fracking, calling it, quote, bold leadership. In 2015, Kennedy endorsed Senator Bernie Sanders' climate plan to curb U.S. fossil fuel extraction, saying, hashtag keep it in the ground. In 2015, Kennedy applauded Obama's decision to cancel a fossil fuel auction, again tweeting, keep it in the ground. In 2016, Kennedy highlighted San Francisco's decision to ban fossil fuel extraction. In 2016, Kennedy said that the only safe fracking regulation is a ban. In 2017, Kennedy called for fracking to be banned in Ireland and celebrated Maryland's ban on fracking. In 2019, Kennedy called for a ban on new fossil fuel infrastructure in New York. As recently as last month, Kennedy promised, I will ban fracking, with his campaign only walking it back after intense criticism. It's on Fox News. There's his status. Kennedy supports divesting from fossil fuels, imposing a tax on carbon emissions, and the elimination of subsidies. Kennedy called China's 2015 carbon cap and trade commitment revolutionary. Kennedy has opposed the Keystone pipelines for years, even getting arrested outside the White House while protesting the project. What year was that? 2013. Kennedy believes that climate change is the cost that we're paying for our long-time deadly addiction to coal and oil. Kennedy tried to get ExxonMobil banned from doing business in New York and believes the big oil companies, including Koch Industries or Koch Industries and ExxonMobil, should be given the death penalty. Kennedy has called Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's new Green Deal huge and important. Kennedy is a huge supporter of the Paris Climate Agreement. Kennedy has been a critic of the U.S. military, saying if a foreign government contaminated our country like the Department of Defense has, it would be considered an act of war. To make this a little bit smaller. That's what she said. RFK Jr. has embraced the Democrat agenda. Kennedy believes that the NRA is a terror group. I believe he has walked that back, that too, if I remember correctly. Or said he doesn't believe that now. Kennedy spoke out against the Supreme Court decision banning colleges from using affirmative action, saying that the effects of racist policies going back centuries are now self-perpetuating. Kennedy's stance on abortion is in line with today's Democratic Party in that there should be no federal ban. Kennedy supports raising taxes on Americans. In 2019, Kennedy tweeted an article defending Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's 70% top tax rate. In 2020, Kennedy thinks that the very wealthy people ought to be paying more in taxes and corporations. Kennedy called the Supreme Court ruling that struck down Biden's student debt bailout unfortunate. Wow. So again, on the attack, the Trump team is definitely, they must really see Kennedy as a threat. You can see I got my new Trump 2024 shirt here. This is great. Love it. This is from the We the People holsters, wethepeopleholsters.com. Really good stuff there. I like this shirt. This is awesome. This is nice. Really, really cool. Handcrafted material there. All right. So, that's rough. That's pretty darn rough. So I'm going to go ahead and play some of this. I know the stream is kind of tweaking out a little bit, but I will do my best here. All right. So play a little bit of this, and then I may cut in. Quality is really bad tonight. Apologize for that. Let's do it. Let's do this.
RFK Jr., you said voter ID was racist. Is that true?
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't see it. I had a lot of positions.
It's actually a comic book written by radical Democrat RFK.
I just want to stop right there. So you notice they cut it out where he said, I had a lot of positions that he's changed his mind on. And they cut that part out. Because again, this is just a 2-minute, 3-minute clip on Donald J. Trump's YouTube channel, just going after Kennedy. That's all it is, really. So they're not going to put in the parts where Kennedy says that he's changed his mind on things, which is okay. And a lot of those things that I just read where Trump talks about what Kennedy did is way back when, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2019. But when you talk to Kennedy now, you can see what his views are on those issues. And yes, they have changed. And that's okay for me. That doesn't bother me at all. I think it's a good thing to change your issues on something, especially when you get it wrong. We saw President Trump change his view on Anthony Fauci. So we can all be wrong, but that's okay. I'm going to keep playing a little bit more. But it is interesting that they kind of cut that out there.
Jr. argues, among other things, that voter ID laws are, quote, I kid you not, racially rancid.
Red state people are more likely to murder you, to impregnate your teenage daughter, to commit a violent crime against you, to commit a nonviolent crime against you, to watch Desperate Housewives on TV, to buy pornography, to buy, degenerate video games like Grand Theft Auto.
You've called for curbing, logging, oil drilling.
Fracking, you wanted to eliminate it. You called it a victory for democracy. You want to curb U.S. fossil fuel extraction. Keep it in the ground, you once tweeted. You want a ban on fossil fuel extraction, a ban on fracking.
They are contemptible human beings, and that, I wish that there were a law you could punish them under.
I think the Green New Deal is, all of that stuff is important, is good. We ought to be pursuing it. I believe that we should use market mechanisms like carbon taxes. There's going to be major disruptions, not just to humanity, but ultimately to civilization. And this is part of the cost that we're paying for our long-time deadly addiction to coal and oil.
You called the NRA once a terror group. You've supported over the years Democrats, Gore, Kerry, Obama, Hillary. You've praised Bernie Sanders multiple times. You support affirmative action.
Senator Bernie Sanders is finally endorsing Hillary Clinton today. Do you endorse her? Is she that leader?
Yeah, and I'm very close to Bernie. And a huge admirer of Bernie Sanders. My family has a long relationship with Joe Biden, 40 years. I have a personal friendship with him.
Do you regret endorsing Al Gore, John Kerry, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Bernie Sanders over the years?
I like Bernie Sanders. I voted for Barack Obama. I don't regret that. And Trump came in and said, I'm going to run the country like a business. And then he shut down 3.3 million businesses. What businessman would do that? He handed the keys to every one of our businesses in this country to Anthony Fauci.
But Bobby, and I'm sure this is gonna go viral because I'm about to defend Trump. When everybody comes to you, if it's President Kennedy, and says, we need to do this right now. This is not going to last a week or 2 weeks. This is a real problem. We're going to be overwhelmed. There's only one place that makes the swabs that we need. That's what pushed Trump into that situation. And then you had the businesses closed. You had all these people out of work. You had all these other problems. They started spending money. Biden continued to spend the money. Trump wanted to spend even more. You got to give him a little bit of a break on that. The pandemic was a problem.
Here's the thing, Chris. If I were president, that would have never happened. Never, ever. When my uncle was president, and John Kennedy was president, he was during the Cuban Missile Crisis, when the whole world was on the edge of a nuclear war. He had 11 of the 13 top advisors, what they call the XCOM committee, telling him he needed to invade Cuba. If he had gone ahead and done that, it would have been the end of the world. We now know. So, and he said, no, he researched the issue himself. He said, show me the aerial photos. He asked the CIA, what is Khrushchev going to do? Isn't it going to make, if we go in and kill his gun crews in Cuba, isn't he going to have to come into Germany? And isn't that going to end up in a nuclear war? He asked the questions. He went granular. He did the details, and he figured out a different solution. And we need that kind of president today, and we needed it during the pandemic. And unfortunately, we got two presidents who made a series of bad choices, drove up a $16 trillion in costs, destroyed an entire generation of kids and their learning, did things that nobody in their right mind would have done during a pandemic, that violated every pandemic protocol that we've developed over 50 years. You do not shut down a country for a respiratory illness because everybody knows it's going to go through anyway, and it was an illness that spread indoors, not outdoors, and we knew that from the beginning.
Right, but they were trying to keep people from being in collections. Because remember, the people who made the protocols were also the ones telling the presidents to go this route, and it was echoed in many places all over the world. But I get the discrepancy on it. I get the discrepancy.
They were violating their own protocols, and
yes.
Nobody asked. You had people telling us, trust the experts, and of course, that is not a feature of science. That's not a thing. Trust the experts is not a feature of science. It's not a feature of democracy. It is a feature of religion and totalitarianism. And in democracies, we don't do that. We question everybody, and we need a president who knows that.
Final thing.
All right, so stop right there. Yeah, I was having some streaming issues, and I think it's because I'm trying to upload a video that I'll probably end up playing tomorrow of Trump's latest speeches, and Kennedy's latest speech too, with some clips and some of the things I'm playing here now, which so it kind of sucks. But it seemed like once I stopped that upload, not having those weird streaming issues I was having, so that's good. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to continue on a little bit, but I did want to play this other clip here that I had. This is just about 35 seconds. This was released on the same. This was released on May 2nd. This came out on May 2nd. This is after Trump's court case on May 2nd, which is yesterday. And so I got that. It's just 35 seconds, and I'm just going to play that here.
Any questions? Would you be RFK Jr.? RFK, I don't know anything about him. Look, RFK is
I don't know anything about him. He knows everything about him.
polling very low. He's
See, and I don't believe that too. The question, which was hard to hear, the question was, would you debate RFK Jr.? It took me a few times to go back and listen to it to understand that was the question that Trump was getting. And so Trump, the first thing he says, right? I don't know anything about him. Yes, he does. He knows all about him. He knows all about Kennedy. There's no doubt there. So I can move this down a little bit more. So yeah, nobody's buying that. Nobody's buying that. He doesn't know anything about him. That's hilarious. All right, back to it. Hop, skip, and a jump.
not a serious candidate. They say he hurts Biden. I don't know who he hurts. He might hurt me. I don't know. But he has very low numbers.
See, at least he's admitting that. Yeah, they say he hurts Biden. He might hurt me. So we're getting back into that of who does Kennedy hurt and why. How deep does this go here? So I thought that was interesting.
They're not numbers that he can debate with. And he's got to get his numbers up a lot higher before he's credible. But the numbers that he's taken away, they say will be against Biden. I don't know. I'm not so sure. It could be a little bit against me, but I don't see him as a factor.
So there it is. He does not see him as a factor. Well, I don't know. For some reason, I disagree with that. I don't believe that that's accurate, but see, time will definitely tell. So those are just some of the two main clips. I've been working on what I'm calling the Kennedy and Trump clipumentary, which is just a bunch of clips of Kennedy and Trump talking back and forth, talking about each other mostly. That's what it mostly is. The first part, which is really part 1, 2, and 3 in one long form video. That's about an hour and 48 minutes. I just put out part 4, which is about 40 minutes. So some of the newer stuff, and that's what I was just playing here just a few minutes ago, just playing the first couple minutes of the Kennedy and Trump clipumentary. And then again, I've also starting to upload these onto Spotify as well to get some more content out there on the Spotify channel now that they are changing Anchor. Spotify bought out Anchor basically. So I'm going to test some of that stuff out, but always good to have on the Spotify. And you can have video on Spotify too. So any content creators out there, you can upload your full video. The same videos you put on YouTube, you can upload those, or TikTok or wherever. You can upload those to Spotify too. And less censorship. I can guarantee less censorship. Like I said, I've never had any issues on Spotify yet. But that was an interesting one. That was about 35 seconds. But I'll tell you, that first hit piece is just, they really go after Kennedy like I've never seen happen before so far. And then we got Kennedy. The second part of that is Kennedy kind of going after Trump, talking about the same stuff we've been hearing Kennedy talk about with Trump for a long time. So let me see if I can go back here and play a little bit more.
But in democracies, we don't do that. We question everybody, and we need a president who knows that.
Final thing, What do you think of the RFK Jr. independent campaign and the Democrats' relentless attacks on him?
Well, I think he's a nice guy. I've known him. He's extremely liberal. He's more liberal than anybody.
This is the thing. Trump is playing this game. You just heard him saying that was like late April, maybe April 30th or something, where he says, yeah, Kennedy is a nice guy and I know him. Then in the clip from yesterday, Trump is saying, I don't know this guy. And he doesn't call him a nice guy. So what has changed? What is happening? Again, it's like we're starting to see what Kennedy said was going to happen, that Kennedy expects Trump to come after him. And we're starting to really see that in the way that I think a lot of Trump supporters, I don't know, I hope I'm not the only Trump supporter that doesn't really like Trump going after Kennedy. I can't be the only one out there, I would hope, but maybe I am. Let's listen a little bit more.
He's more liberal than the Green Party, and so I don't know. I would imagine he'd not be good for them, but you don't know how that plays out. He gets a certain, not many points, but he gets some. But they say he hurts Biden. I'm not sure that that's true. I think he probably hurts both, but he might hurt Biden a little bit more. Right. You don't know, but he's got, not a lot of points, but maybe enough points to make a difference one way or the other. But he's a very liberal guy.
A moment ago, you said you essentially see Trump and Biden as the same, different issues. But do you really believe that when people talk about the threat to democracy that Trump poses, do you really think that is an equal?
So this is where, again, I've covered that clip previously, where Kennedy is basically saying that Biden is the bigger threat than Trump. So I just want to see if there is anything new on the Kennedy website here. That's really all that I had for this one. Just making a quick little show. Let's go back here to click on some of this campaign coverage that we have. All right, nothing new since the 2nd, it looks like, but he's going to hold a rally in Denver that is coming up. But I love this one where they say Biden is the real spoiler. Kennedy is the only candidate who can beat Trump. Oh, I should play that, actually. I should go and play where I believe it's the campaign spokesman breaks that down. Let me see. Whoops, not that one. Wrong one. I read this. This was on May 1st, May Day. All right. So more of the zombie poll. I think I covered this, but I don't think I played the video. So I'm gonna play that short video. The real spoiler. Biden is the real spoiler.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Hiller, and I'm the Director of Content at Team Kennedy. And today we're going to be talking about numbers.
Nerd alert!
All right, by now you probably know that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is running as an independent candidate for President of the United States. But you probably have heard him spoken about like this.
A spoiler candidate? A spoiler?
Spoiler. Called Kennedy a spoiler.
A spoiler.
But is this really true? I mean, is Bobby really a spoiler in this election? We looked into it, and now we have the answers. Now, the preface here is that most polls are conducted by mainstream media outlets, and typically they have 1,000 to 3,000 or so respondents per poll. And most of those polls have about a plus or minus 3% margin of error. Well, we conducted a nationwide poll of over 25,000 respondents, and our margin of error was 0.6%. That makes it by far the most accurate predictor of the 2024 election that we have thus far. All right, let's dive into the maps. This is the head-to-head matchup between Biden and Trump. Trump with 294 and Biden with 244. Trump wins by 50 electoral votes. And if you're a political nerd like myself, you know that that is not very close. And with Bobby as a third-party candidate, Biden only picks up 2 additional states, so he still loses to Trump. All right, now here is where it gets very interesting. In a head-to-head matchup, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wins 367 electoral votes versus Joe Biden's 171. Now that is what we call a landslide. And what's even crazier about these numbers is when you look at the ad spend of these two campaigns. Biden has spent over $36 million in advertising since October 1st, and we have spent a little over $2 million. Now, the next head-to-head matchup that we pulled was Bobby versus Trump. Obviously, this is a very close election, but Bobby still wins. All right, so to recap, Biden cannot beat Trump in a head-to-head race, and it is not close. Biden cannot beat Trump in a three-way race, and it's still not very close. Bobby wins in a landslide against Biden head-to-head, and Bobby beats Trump head-to-head. So wait, who is actually the spoiler here? Because a spoiler is a non-winning candidate whose presence on the ballot affects which candidate wins. A non-winning candidate affecting a possible winning candidate. So if you do not want to see Donald Trump become the next president of the United States, there is only one candidate running who has the power to beat him, and it is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I agree with just about everything they're saying there, but I don't like the ending. I don't like where they keep saying, well, if you don't want Trump to win, again, they're looking at the people who want to vote for what they consider the lesser of two evils, or who don't want to vote for the lesser of two evils. I don't know. I don't really like that approach. I get what they're saying, but it's kind of like, well, if anybody but Trump is kind of, they're going after that crowd, anybody but Trump. I don't know how that's going to play out, but you can't fault them for trying it. The real thing, the main thing I think that comes out of all of this is the fact that the numbers they didn't crunch is to say, well, what happens if nobody gets to 270? Is that possible? Is it possible that nobody gets to 270, and what happens then? Does it whoever gets the closest to 270? Because in that case, maybe Trump still wins. So I'm curious to see how all of this plays out, because what if no one gets there? And that's been a big talking point. I'm surprised they didn't mention those numbers in there too, for that stats nerd, the numbers nerd. But I'm sure he's looked at that too. And maybe they don't even want to go there yet. I'm not sure why that hasn't been brought up yet, but I do hope that it will be at some point. All right, I'm literally going to play just one more. This is from Kennedy's Twitter. And then I am out. About 3 minutes here. Oh, let me hype it up. So this is what RFK Jr. says on his Twitter. At an event in Hawaii earlier this year, I spoke about one of my deepest held beliefs, that nature is the infrastructure of our communities, enriching us economically, culturally, historically, and spiritually, and that God speaks to us through many vectors, but nowhere as powerful as through creation. All right, so I'll play this. That I like. That's
Ladies and gentlemen, the next President of the United States, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
And one of the things that I've done over my 40 years as an environmental advocate is to constantly go around and confront this argument that an investment in our environment is a diminishment of our nation's wealth. It doesn't diminish our wealth. It's an investment in infrastructure. The same as investing in telecommunications or road construction. It's an investment we have to make if we're going to ensure the economic vitality of our generation and future generations. We're not protecting nature for the sake of the fishes or the birds. We're protecting it for our own sake, because nature enriches us. The fishes and birds enrich us by their existence. There's probably not that many of you who've ever actually seen the Mona Lisa hanging in the Louvre, but you know that if somebody destroyed that, all of us would be diminished in some way. And when we destroy a species that we can't create, that only God can create, it diminishes all of humanity. When those are the things that link us to our past, to our history, to the 20,000 generations of human beings who lived before there were laptops, that link us to our culture, to our literature, and ultimately to God. God talks to human beings through many vectors, through each other, through organized religions, through the great books of those religions, through wise people, the prophets, through art and literature and music and poetry, but nowhere with the same texture and power and color and grace and joy as through creation. And when we destroy creation, we diminish ourselves and we impoverish our children. And that ultimately is not just a crime, but it's a sin. And, you know, I believe that you deserve a president who is thinking about these things. When I said, you know, when I announced, and I'll say, you know, you give me a sword and some ground to stand on, I will take your country back for you. Thank you all very much. God bless you. God bless Hawaii. Mahalo.
It would probably help if I did not have my mic muted, but God bless you all again. I'll just be working on my book, Kennedy and Trump. And there's just so much to cover, so much happening here, new stuff, new information coming out all of the time. Not all of it will make it into the book, but the biggest thing is what we're seeing in the clipumentaries that I'm making to just show the relationship between these two presidential candidates and their journey to the White House. To me, it's fascinating. It's a fascinating journey. It's good for our country. I think it's needed. I think it's really it's historical, and I've never seen anything like it. And I look forward again to seeing how all this plays out. Really enjoying this new shirt, Trump 2024. Keep America great. You got the flag on one side, and then you got the company on the other. We the people holsters. So even came with this spiffy little decal that I kind of messed up, but it's there, and I put this right here on the top to remind us that that is exactly what it's all about. We the people, not them, not the status quo, not the two-party system, not the lesser of two evils, not the devil, but it's about we the people of Jesus Christ. God bless you all, and I will be back very, very soon. See you.